for Duke. Greg Paulus runs the point. Henderson's been terrific in the 2 games here. The captain is DeMarcus Nelson with Kyle Singler, one of the best freshmen in the country, and Lance Thomas at forward for Mike Krzyzewski. In his 28th season at Duke, 706 wins at Duke. When you add his wins at Army, he's now 8th all-time in college basketball history. Tied Lou Henson last night with his 779th career wins. Tom Crean is in his 9th season as head coach at Marquette. His average 20 wins per year. Led them to the Final Four when he coached Dwayne Wade. He's wearing that jacket that you guys gave him a hard time about.
Oh,
yesterday.
you killed him. You killed him.
Yeah, he said Dwayne Wade texted him to tell him that the 3 of us were giving him a hard time about the jacket. So we spoke with Tom this morning. He said, just for you guys, I'm going to wear that jacket again. It's a golf windbreaker, he said.
I'm sure it has nothing to do with superstition that they played so well in that yesterday. He'd wear it again.
I don't know why Tom would have a golf windbreaker. He is absolutely the worst golfer I've ever seen in my life.
He doesn't play, does he?
Well, that's pretty much it. No.
Okay.
On the rare occasion when he does, it is painful to watch.
He can coach, though.
He sure can. Scott Thornley, Ed Hightower, and Terry Weimer are the officials. And Duke in white controlled the tip.
Sean McDonough. Jay Billis. Marquette goes.
It's Lance Thomas trying to power right inside against Dwight Burke. Singler kept it alive. And now Gerald Henderson looking for help.
Boy, what a matchup between Wesley Matthews and Henderson. 2 strong athletes.
Henderson has been outstanding in both games. 12 points against Princeton and then the 23 against Illinois last night. James was the star when they beat Duke last year. He had 25 points. His first shot of the night rattles out.
And they blitzed that ball screen, Jay, the first time. We'll see how many different looks they might give Marquette.
And Paulus is going to have great difficulty, as most defenders do, staying in front of Dominique James.
Tom Crean delighted with James's performance yesterday. Sat on the bench for a while in their game against Chaminade. He thought that might have had a little bit of an impact. Singler a strong drive, and he has the first basket of the game a minute in.
He's got deceptive speed. I mean, he doesn't look like he's motoring.
And that's the toughest matchup for Marquette. Dwight Burke on Singler. Singler is very good with a jab step, putting it on the floor. He is versatile and hard to guard. Marquette going under ball screens to start this game.
Trouble with the dribble by Wesley Matthews. He's tied up by Gerald Henderson, and finally the whistle. And the arrow will give it back to the Golden Eagles of Marquette.
That could have been a tie hell ball for the rest of the day with the strength of those 2 guys. All right, you see Duke doesn't get over the top. Pretty good screen. And boy, you really have to nail a guy against Duke.
Good job by Singler jumping out and defending that ball screen, not letting him get around and turn the corner.
Jerome McNeil got his pass through to the baseline. It was deflected, but wound up with Lazar Hayward, and the sophomore from Buffalo, New York, has the first Marquette bucket.
Well, that was good defense, just didn't come up with it.
Paulus, the junior, guarded tightly by James. Thomas, baseline jumper. And the rebound to Wesley Matthews, a good rebounding guard, nearly 5 per game last year. Hayward a deep one, then the rebound down to Lance Thomas.
Well, he's been struggling with that 3-pointer.
Nelson running the floor, and Jarrell McNeil fouled him. That's the first foul of the game for either team. It comes exactly 2 minutes in with the score tied at 2.
Not sure the jump shot by Hayward was the right shot given that fast break. And Greg Paulus with his head up makes a terrific pass. Marquette has got to get back defensively after a make or a miss. Stopping transition against Duke is key for the Golden Eagles.
Hey, you know what's dangerous for Marquette too? Paulus turned the corner to give that Thomas jump shot. You've got to keep him in front of you.
Nelson worked hard in the offseason to improve his free throw shooting. He was just 57% entering this season. He's off to a good start this year. Now 9 out of 12 from the line for 75%.
Such a good driver. DeMarcus Nelson getting to the free throw line is part of his game. If he doesn't knock free throws down at a high rate, he is giving points away.
Duke struggled to score last year, 70 points per game last in the ACC. They've scored 92 per game this year and building a 4-0 record.
You're going to have to execute against both these teams.
Wesley Matthews, junior from Madison, Wisconsin, with the shot clock at 11.
Flat screen up high in the roll. It's tough to stay in front of him.
Goodness, he shakes and bakes, huh?
Well, he's been unlucky twice. James has taken 2 shots now that have rattled in and out.
Nice look.
And Thomas the dunk with Burke on him.
Oh, Nelson threaded it. What a feat.
And a great rim run by Lance Thomas.
After missing a couple of jump shots, James trying to power to the basket and get by Paulus, who deflected it out of bounds.
And not bad transition defense, but just a beautiful dive to the rim. And look, that catchable bounce pass, waist high, send it in.
Well, you throw it up high, and Burke had his left hand up trying to discourage a pass and just threaded down low. And a great catch by Thomas.
They called a foul on Paulus. He did knock the ball out of bounds, but was also whistled for the first foul against Duke. So here's James, who came out confidently from the start yesterday in their 30-point win against Oklahoma State, a game in which Marquette never trailed. And it was James who set the tone early, finished with 18 points, 5 assists, 2 steals.
And Sean, you mentioned the 2 shots he had. He was unlucky. They're great shots. He's been taking better shots and set his man up for that medium ranger. He is a load to control.
And those are the shots he usually knocks down. He's good at those mid-range, high-rising jumpers.
3 minutes played. Duke with a 6-4 lead in the championship game of the EA Sports Maui Invitational. Thomas, strong drive and well defended by Usman Barrow, who was excellent off the bench. Tom Crean was delighted with what he got from Barrow yesterday.
Oh, he's a big factor for the whole season for this team. He plays like that, they will be an awfully tough out.
James done a lot of dribbling with Paulus guarding him so far, and the elbow jumper gets nothing but net.
Nice isolation, huh? He can just take anybody.
When you have a big game like he did last year against an opponent, does it tear you over mentally? Do you come into this game thinking I put 25 on Duke?
Doesn't hurt. It's a nice confidence builder, but you can't rely upon it. And Greg Paulus perhaps got away with a little bit of a push, and Dominique James maybe sold it a little too much, and the referee just told him so. But I think James is going to be able to take Paulus off the dribble just about whenever he wants.
You know, normally, Sean, you ask that of somebody who put 25 on someone.
Never bothered me to have 25 put on me. I've had more scored on me than that. That was actually a good night defensively for me.
Well, we remember Never Nervous Purvis.
He does. He has nightmares still.
Good help by Barrow on the Nelson drive.
And Singler with the miss. The last Marquette foul was on Hayward, his first. Singler had 8 points last night against Illinois after 21 in their opening win against Princeton. Princeton, by the way, lost the 7th place game today to Chaminade. Congratulations to the Silver Swords, who end the 13-game losing streak at the EA Sports Maui Invitational. Tied at 6 in the opening minutes here on Maui.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by NCAA March Madness 2008. Download the demo on Xbox Live Marketplace. Volkswagen. When you get into a Volkswagen, it gets into you. And K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K.
6-6 the score. It's become a sunny late afternoon. We had a little off and on rain today, which is almost a stunning development here at the EA Sports Maui Invitational. So we mentioned earlier Marquette beat Duke 1 year ago tonight in Kansas City, but Tom Crean knows it's a different Duke team he's facing this year.
They're deeper than they were a year ago, and right now they're look relatively injury-free, and their depth is deeper. So I mean, there's no question that they're a different basketball team. I mean, they're very similar when you watch them on film to what's going on in Phoenix right now with the Phoenix Suns and the way they space the floor and attack. So they're a very, very good basketball team. They're going to be tough for anybody to deal with this year.
And Tom Crean very attentive. As Mike Krzyzewski mentioned, we talked about it the last couple of nights. He has borrowed some offensive thoughts from Mike D'Antoni, the head coach of the Phoenix Suns, who's Mike's assistant on the Olympic team.
It's organized. It doesn't look it, but it is. use
Coach K said
abilities.
Mike D'Antoni's an offensive genius, so why wouldn't you borrow from somebody you think is a genius?
And speaking of borrowing, look what they're playing, Sean.
A little 2-3 zone that he borrowed from another one of his Olympic assistants, Jim Boeheim of Syracuse.
Marquette does a very good job of flashing into the middle and screening against the zone.
And when we spoke with Tom Crean this morning, he fully expected to see some zone from Duke tonight. Wesley Matthews missed out of the corner. Ryan Zubek has come in along with John Shire for Duke. Shire getting used to being a bench player really for the first time in his life, but he's done very well off the bench for the first 4 games. Nelson a strong drive, and Zubek tipped it in.
And anytime you drive, it draws the attention of the big people. Bears are a nice look, and Zubek didn't know. He didn't run to the rim first. Settled in at the top of the key.
That's where Barrow's got an advantage. He is a better runner of the floor than Brian Zubek, but any time that Barrow goes to block a shot, it's going to open up the offensive glass. That's what happened for Zubek. It was the drive that opened up the glass because Barrow came over to block the shot. You can see here's the drive, and Wesley Matthews doing a pretty good job of angling it out. But see how Barrow comes over. That opens up the offensive glass, and Jarrell McNeil couldn't get down there fast enough.
Singler from 16 feet knocks it in.
Well, he can move you around.
Toughest matchup on the floor for Marquette.
Yeah, he was saying that. It sure is. He can play in or out.
Mike Krzyzewski says even though Singler's a freshman, he's their most complete player. James missed the 3, and the rebound down to Shire.
Not a pass made by Marquette. That is not a good look for them.
He can't get into that kind of game.
And Tom Crean said the key for his team tonight would be decision making. He said we know that we'll play hard. It's important we make good decisions. Shire for 3, got a bump after releasing from Matthews, and the rebound to Dominique James, the junior from Richmond, Indiana, off to McNeil.
Well, what a nice move. The pass was sensational, and then the move between defenders so you don't charge.
So dynamic going to the basket.
Tied at 10, more than 6 minutes gone by here in the EA Sports Maui Invitational Championship game. DeMarcus Nelson got his shot to roll in. He has 4.
That's Steve Nash-like, isn't it? Well, he got himself in the lane and hung with it.
He's just a brute going to the basket. Just a brute.
James threw it away, but good work by Hayward, got it back, and James knocks in about a 10-foot baseline jumper. Shire, and good work by Wesley Matthews to get back. It looked like it was going to be a layup for a moment.
Well, what recovery, huh?
This is a fist fight on a racetrack.
Look at this baby, huh? Right between defenders. Just a great pass, Jay.
Here's the strength. You can see the little hook with the elbow. Instead of dropping that hand down, he just hooked with the elbow. So it's tougher to see.
Nolan Smith into the ball game to inbound it. The freshman guard found Thomas underneath for an easy 2.
Just bad defense. No communication. They back screen wide open.
4 points for Lance Thomas, the sophomore from Scotch Plains, New Jersey, out of St. Benedict's, where he played for Danny Hurley. The school that sent this young man to Marquette. David Kubian to Dan Fitzgerald for 3, picking right up where he left off yesterday.
What a nice read by Kubian. Drag 2.
And a great fill from behind by Dan Fitzgerald. And well, boy, was he ready to shoot when that ball arrived.
He was 3 out of 4 from 3 yesterday. Shire the miss. Kubian.
Good poise.
McNeil charged. Good defense by Gerald Henderson.
Oh, that is great effort. The quickness.
Tom Crean didn't like the call. He says, come on, as McNeil's called for his 2nd.
Well, it was the fact that he put his head and his shoulder down. That's probably what sold the call more than Henderson moving his feet. I think if McNeil hadn't put his head down, he probably would have gotten a block instead of that charge.
Well, that's a big call, as McNeil has been Marquette's best player for the first 4 games of the year. He's on the bench now with 2 fouls after the first turnover of the game committed by Marquette. Henderson, a deep 2. Lance Thomas, the offensive rebound.
Wesley Matthews challenges every shot. That was brilliant defense.
And an air ball by Henderson. Taylor King into the ball game. Tried to save it for Duke and could not. Feast Week presented by Lowe's continues on ESPN2 tomorrow night. Two of the best freshmen in the country on display. Michael Beasley in Kansas State against George Mason in the Old Spice Classic. And at midnight, San Diego takes on the USC Trojans led by freshman O.J. Mayo. That's in the Anaheim Classic, a part of Feast Week presented by Lowe's on ESPN2 Thursday. King to Smith, who almost got knocked back into the backcourt, and now Kubion a little bit too, Maurice Acker a little bit too aggressive defensively.
I'll tell you what, defensively, these two teams are getting after it. Not much open space.
An immediate timeout with Marquette up by 1. John McDonough, Jay Billis, Bill Raftery. Basketball feast all week here on the ESPN family of networks, and some great college football coming up on this rivalry week as well. And here in the Hawaiian Islands, everybody is talking about what the great commissioner of the WAC, Carl Benson, has called the biggest game in the history of WAC football. Boise State and Hawaii both undefeated in WAC play. They'll play on ESPN2 Friday night, 9 Eastern time. 4 o'clock kickoff at sold-out Aloha Stadium over in Honolulu.
And you will be there, right? You'll be present.
Looking forward to that.
Marquette does such a great job on ball screens. They fill behind a screen and roll. Little side pick and roll here. Going to do a great job here on the ball screen. Usman Barrow going to come out, set a run out ball screen, and Dan Fitzgerald space to the corner. After he rolls to the basket, Fitzgerald fills up, and all of a sudden Kyle Singler, who helped on the roll, has to close out to a shooter who is ready to shoot. And Fitzgerald, the transfer from Tulane, absolutely drilled it. That's great offense run by Marquette.
Nolan Smith guarded by Acker, the transfer from Ball State.
Kubion down underneath, grab Shires. He was using those post rubs and
First
bumps.
Foul on Kubion. Talking with Tom Crean this morning, he said he just had a feeling that David Kubion would have a big game tonight for Marquette. Smith got it into Shire with King, Thomas, and Henderson for Duke. And King couldn't control it on the block. Matthews all the way to the bucket, and he'll go to the line as well.
They avoid charges as well as anybody I've seen. Open floor, and Duke is extraordinary, stepping in and getting that body contact. Give it up early. Give the guy an angle, an opportunity, and a tower of strength. Wesley Matthews to the 10.
He's like a defensive back running in the open field, and Gerald Henderson got back, but he avoided the charge. Henderson needs to avoid that foul, because once he was past him, no need trying to brush him with those arms. It's not going to do any good.
Marquette's made 5 of its last 6 from the floor, and they've taken their largest lead after the free throw by Matthews. They're up by 4. Nearly 8.5 minutes played.
Boy, that head and shoulder fake.
Singler fouled as he got bumped by Dan Fitzgerald.
He is interesting, Sean, how he gets into it. It doesn't look like he's blowing by people, but great poise not to turn that over and then use the footwork.
Well, he does it with a fake. Watch this simple little fake. Head and shoulder fake gone. I mean, he does such a good job with jab steps, with head fakes, ball fakes. He takes his time, and he allows the defense to react to what he's doing, and then he exploits that reaction. Just a player who's wise on the floor beyond his years.
Fundamentally so sound.
And he's been an excellent free throw shooter so far at the collegiate level, now 13 out of 15. 5 points in this game for the freshman from Medford, Oregon, out of South Medford High School. He played on a state championship team and scored more than 2,200 points while in high school. 6th best total in Oregon high school history, 22:07. Acker to Fitzgerald with Burke, Matthews, and Kubion for Tom Crean. And Matthews going to get called for a walk.
He lost his footing. Pretty good move. Now, you really have to be good at dribbling when you play either one of these teams. And just extraordinary defense. You got to protect it, be able to get by with the head and shoulders.
We'll watch a handoff option here. Couldn't use it.
Duke undefeated all time here. 11-0. 9 of their 11 wins here over the years have been by double digits. They've won by an average of about 19 per game. And it's Gerald Henderson with the bucket is first.
Well, that was NBA-like strength. Oh, George McGinnis, like when we held the ball at the end.
Nelson about to break the 6th tie of the game with a dunk.
How about that anticipation?
Got to make a pass fake, but great defense by DeMarcus Nelson.
Rory Sacker tried to get by Smith, but then retreated.
Duke follows up a basket with great pressure.
Well, they were a terrific streak team. They like to get those 3 or 4 in a row.
John King has 4 substitutes at the table ready to check in. And Nelson slipped and fell, and numbers the other way for Marquette.
Nice look.
Kubion open for 3.
Acker with a great steal, and then the little showmanship by Kubion, drilling it.
Well, this is a physical contest. Big-time athletes that are going after one another.
Henderson inside. Thomas, no basket. He was fouled by Fitzgerald before the shot. The second personal on Fitzgerald, the senior from St. Paul, Minnesota, and the 7th team foul against Marquette. So Duke will be shooting the rest of the half.
Heck of a pass in traffic, too, wasn't it?
Here comes the wholesale substitutions. Marquette's win last year in Kansas City in the title game of the CBE Classic was 73-62. James the Scar, he had 25 points. McNeil had 17 and 6 rebounds as the Golden Eagles turned 19 Duke turnovers into 25 points.
And Marquette only turned it over 9 times themselves. But right now, Duke can really afford to be aggressive. They've only got 2 team fouls. So they can play good defense without worrying about putting Marquette on the line.
That was a concern of Mike the other day. He thought they may have been fouling too much in practice. Nice pass
by James to Lazar Hayward.
If you can bounce, you can get everybody's head to turn. Get the vision on the ball. That's when you can get in the great passing situations.
Sindler with Hayward right up on him.
Nice job by Kubion on that post defense on Nelson.
Nolan Smith guarded by McNeil, who played carefully there with 2 fouls. And Smith scored, the freshman from Upper Marlboro, Maryland.
Well, twice, first by Henderson, then by Smith. That little running hook.
Old time. What does it remind you of?
Beautifully done there.
Oh, gorgeous. Got to finish that, though.
Barrow to miss, but McNeil, taking nothing for granted, crashed the offensive glass and got fouled. And a mock cheer from the Marquette fans for the officials as they whistled the 3rd foul of the half against Duke.
Just a little on big screen after James makes the entry pass. He runs in, sets a little back screen for Barrow, who was wide open underneath. And you're right, Bill, that's a play that he's got to finish.
And Duke is playing great defense without fouling. I mean, I don't think the refs have missed anything.
No. McNeil made the first. He came into the season with 2 career games of 20 points or more in 60 games in his first 2 years. And he has scored 20 or more in 3 of the first 4 games this year, including back-to-back games of 20 or more here in Maui in the wins against Chaminade and Oklahoma State. DeMarcus Nelson with the elbow jumper.
Dominic James getting caught up on the ball screen, tried to go over the top, and Hayward did a pretty good job of contesting that shot. That's just a terrific shot by DeMarcus Nelson.
Got an open side on the other wing.
Good catch by McNeil. That handoff from Kubion was a bit behind him. Barrow missed, but tenaciously went after the rebound. Tracked down by Nolan Smith in the corner.
Good hustle by Barrow getting back.
McNeil defending.
Got to go after Jarrell McNeil with those 2 fouls.
Thomas, a couple of fakes. Didn't get the tough shot to go. Barrow, good defense, and then he turned to get the rebound.
Solid.
James too hot for Barrow, who wasn't really turned in good position to receive the hard pass. The 5th turnover committed by Marquette. The Golden Eagles by 1 as they play for the title of the EA Sports Maui Invitational.
Marquette leading by 1. Hoops 101. I just wish I had a better quality of student sitting next to me. 1-4 set. Little pass entered into the elbow. A backdoor cut. Then Dominic James is going to set a back screen for Ousmane Barrow to get him into the low post. Little two-man game, and Barrow looking to finish this play down low. And this is Marquette running the play in live action against Duke. Superior cheerleader technology by EA Sports. They spent a lot of money at that. The dribble entry to the elbow, the quick backdoor cut, and then the screen to get Barrow into the low post. And if he finishes this play, everybody's happy.
It would have been pretty. Well done. Well done, by the way, Professor.
It's a well-coached team. Yeah, I'm sure you guys were taking notes.
Were you talking? Life imitating art there. And Barrow could not finish. He did in the game, and that's what's important.
So beautiful footwork, huh? Other than the finish. And the big fella, again, the attention on the bounce just opens up everything on the glass.
4 points for Brian Zubek, the 7'1" sophomore.
In a 2-3 zone right now by Duke, trying to limit the penetration, give Marquette a different look. But how about that drive by Nelson? When you go over to block a shot from the weak side, those boards are wide open.
4th lead change of the game. And the drive a bit too strong by Lazar Hayward.
With this lineup, though, you can see why Mike went 2-3 zone.
Yes.
Yeah, Zubek in the middle, Paulus, and it takes away that penetration, as you noted.
You've got to look for a few more short pull-ups against Duke. I mean, this team spends a ton of time taking charges and working on taking charges. You've got to be aware of where the help side is coming from and pull up short at times.
Even your shorts were dirty when you played there from hitting the floor, maybe from a different reason.
Matthews blocked Singler's shot. And then Nelson fouled by Barrow. The last foul on Hayward was his 2nd. So McNeil and Hayward, a couple of starters each with 2 fouls. And now Barrow has his 1st.
Boy, Nelson is some athlete, isn't he?
Yeah, and a great job of establishing contact. You know, I got to be straight with it. As a big guy, you always complained when you jump straight up and somebody came into you.
You're giving ground in a way.
You're supposed to get it all the way to the ceiling, as long as you go straight up. But it's you almost never get that call.
Sean, is this a course in verticality?
I believe it is, from Dr. Naismith. Is that why Never Nervous Purvis scored 25 and you only had 4 in that title game?
No, that was a talent disparity.
I think he kept jumping into you.
He did.
You had perfect verticality.
He kept jumping over me.
Nelson with 9. He's a young man who's been working to be an athlete of top caliber since he was a very young boy. His dad used to put him through workouts starting at about age 8. Finally, when he got to be in high school, his dad said it's time to hand him off to somebody else who has a bit more training in the art of athlete preparation.
Jay's dad wanted to hand him off.
Matthews underneath to Barrow. And there was a kick ball, I believe.
That was pretty good display there on offense. Good position, good analysis on the baseline.
Well, if you can get into the middle, I think Matthews can get in there and make a play if he catches the ball. Not only kicking it back out, but turning and looking to get it over Zubek.
Ooh, that was too easy of a shot.
And Barrow missed an easy putback after McNeil's jumper wouldn't go. Duke by 2. Nelson off for Zubek, who's in the lane a long time, and Paulus makes a 3.
Well, that's how he can live off that kick-out pass. Overhelp wasn't needed.
That's his game. He is an outstanding shooter. And how about his assist-to-turnover ratio? It's about 4 to 1.
It's incredible.
45% last year from three-point range for Paulus.
See, now you're not supposed to be able to dribble in the middle of that zone and shoot a jumper. You've got to coordinate the perimeter guards.
First bucket for Maurice Acker. Marquette shooting 50%. And Nelson strong into the bucket. That was Tom Crean's big concern when they were on defense. He was very impressed by Duke's ability last night to continue to attack the basket from just about every angle.
Well, Nelson is attacking McNeil. He's got those 2 fouls. There's only so much he can do to stop a drive. It's causing help and recover situations and opening up the offensive glass.
Matthews off a feed from Acker. Barrow almost over the back of Zubek, who has his 3rd rebound.
But good looks, though.
5 minutes to go. First half, Duke by 5, matching its largest lead. Paulus, the 5th of 7 children from Syracuse, New York. 4 older brothers, all played football at Georgetown. A younger brother, Mike, a highly touted freshman at North Carolina. And the sister who's a basketball player, the 7th.
And how about that pick and pop, huh? Singler wide open. 2 played 1.
And the 3 ball makes it a 14-2 run for Duke.
At Infinity, we believe a vehicle should deliver all-wheel control when you need it and V8 performance when you want it. Introducing the new Infinity V8 M45 with intelligent all-wheel drive. A driver's car, inside and out. The new M from Infinity.
Kyle Singler, a 3 ball, and Duke has the largest lead of the night for either team.
Duke running a play they call shallow. A little shallow cut, pass it back out, a run-out ball screen, and essentially a pick and pop. They jump. He is wide open, Kyle Singler, and a very difficult matchup. And he's so good at setting screens and looking for his offense right after that screen, whether it's a pop for a jumper or a roll to the basket.
And not very good communication by Marquette on that particular play. 2 played the 1.
They've been beaten by drives so many times. That's what just got softened up for that. A good call by Duke.
McNeil, nicely done. He got it through a couple of arms and legs. And it's Matthews with 5 points now.
How about the cut by Matthews, Sean, huh?
Needle threading.
Hollis guarded by Acker. Singler with Matthews on him. Kubion defending Nelson.
Boy, he has just taken over the game for Duke, Nelson. Just sensational.
He had 13 points against Marquette last year in the loss. Nelson fouled. He'll be at the line after the timeout. Led by 11 points from DeMarcus Nelson, 9 from Kyle Singler. Duke leads Marquette 35-29. 3:54 to go until the UPS halftime report. Ryan Burr, Tom Brennan, Doug Gottlieb will have highlights of the NIT semifinal action tonight. I guess they're going to let somebody else other than Jay Billis handle the UPS whiteboard.
It's about time.
He'll talk about the freshmen Beasley and Mayo. And in this game, dribble penetration, impressive.
Yeah, DeMarcus Nelson's been putting the ball on the floor. Actually, Duke's been attacking at some different spots with dribble penetration, but especially Nelson's putting a lot of pressure on the Marquette defense. Duke shooting 52% thus far. It's not like Marquette shot the ball poorly. They're shooting 50%, 11 for 22. It's just been a well-played game.
And Duke hasn't fouled, and a 2-3 zone with some minimum principles has been extremely effective.
Nelson missed the first of 2. The foul before the break was on Kubion, so he's another Marquette player with 2. There in the double bonus, Duke has committed only 3 fouls in the half.
Now back to man-to-man for Duke.
Anderson back on the floor. Interesting, huh? Take advantage of his quickness and strength.
James got by Nelson, returning the favor. James got his own rebound. That was swatted out of bounds from behind by Lance Thomas.
We've always been amazed at his ability to propel in the air in traffic. And this one, normally he'd convert, but I just think the defense altered it just a bit. Nice save by Thomas.
I think what altered it was Singler trying to take the charge.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Out of bounds, last touch by Singler.
Did you see Singler in the summer at all?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Worked with him a couple years ago at the Nike Skills Academy. He was a rising junior.
What was your contribution to his game?
I messed it up.
No. What areas did you feel he had to work on?
Well, he had to get stronger, but he already, the way he saw the game was ahead of most of his peers. I mean, you know, at that same camp, Kevin Durant was there, and Kevin Love, and you know, Ty Lawson. I mean, there's some great players there, but Singler stood out with his understanding of the game.
Oh, he's had a great play.
Henderson met Barrow at the rim and denied the big man.
Oh, outstanding reaction.
Under 3 to go till halftime. Marquette fans and Tom Crean wanted a double dribble called against Henderson.
Henderson wants to post up Dominique James.
And he shoots over James, a bit too strong, and Dominique the rebound.
I mean, that was like a pro game where he said, look, I've got a matchup. Let me get in the post.
And, you know, the problem with that is you get away from what you've been doing occasionally. You know, if it doesn't work once or twice, you might as well just get back into your offense, which is that dribble drive, use the ball screen, and the sarcasm.
Oh, yeah.
Continues.
And how about James? I mean, he gets posted up on one end. He comes down and says, all right, you want to take me? How about this?
I'll make you pay.
Well, there is the free throw disparity. Foul disparity. Mike Krzyzewski working the officials as the Marquette fans gave the refs a mock cheer. James missed the first.
Got to stay on that line. He was drifting back as he shot it. Needs to stay up there. Follow through and keep on that line till it gets up to the rim.
3 days in a row is tough, too. I think things happen. Your defense gets faulty or your technique gets a little behind.
These young men have to be tired. Gerald Henderson went to the bench with 2 fouls. He's committed 2 of the 4 Duke fouls with 2:28 to go in the half.
I know playing 3 days in a row gets me tired.
But you've had a lot of training.
I've worked hard at it.
Well, we had it easy the last couple of days as Dave Barnett and Jimmy Dykes did most of the work, and we commend our colleagues for their fine job calling the other 3 games here today. Singler a 3.
And Barrow was down in the lane. That's where he can raise you outside.
That's the difficulty of that Singler matchup. He can take a big guy away from the basket. He can post up a guard.
Marquette bringing full court man-to-man pressure now after the James layup. Got the Golden Eagles back within 7. Under 2 minutes to go in the half. It's the championship game of the 24th EA Sports Maui Invitational.
You take him and elevate. Ooh, good play. Quick feet. May have been a little bit of a flopperoo, but headsy play.
First foul on DeMarcus Nelson, and Mike Krzyzewski came quickly off the bench to call timeout.
How about this? Your worst nightmare. Coach tells you, contain this guy. A little blow by. No one at home down below. Great deployment with all the lifts.
Feast Week continues on ESPN Sunday night with the Big 12 Pac-10 Hardwood Series. Arizona takes on Kansas. It's a part of Feast Week presented by Lowe's on ESPN. Sunday night at 8. You're going to stop in Lawrence on the way home for that one.
Looking forward to it. Arizona trying to improve its defense this season, and Brandon Rush now back from an injury. It's too bad that Sharon Collins unavailable, but that Kansas team I think is solid at every position. They've got big guys. They've got the ability to defend with Mario Chalmers and Russell Robinson. I think Russell Robinson is an underrated defender.
We got them late in the year too, Sean, right up at Boston College, if I'm not mistaken, or no? Kansas coming to Boston College?
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
Are you that game?
I'm not sure. I take them one game at a time.
How about you staying in Hawaii an extra couple of days under the guise of doing a football game?
To work, yes. Another, we talk about Kansas. They're probably not that focused on the campus on that basketball game right now with the big football game Saturday night on ABC, Kansas and Missouri, where college game day folks will be at Arrowhead Stadium.
Is this football season?
Yes, it is.
Tough shot. Singler out, leaky.
Took Paulus a while to find him, but a great pass by the former outstanding high school quarterback.
Singler did that. That whole trip was him. Defensively and then smartly taken off.
What a pass by Greg Paulus.
Well, he's known for that, isn't he?
Oh.
He's thrown a few touchdowns in his life.
Yeah, threw for almost 12,000 yards as a high school quarterback in Central New York. Threw 152 touchdown passes in 45 career high school games.
Big trip here, I think. Got to get to the line at least. How about this challenge, Jay? Look at him, and he just takes off.
Look at that pass.
Oh, down and out.
Oh, my. Across his body. And a terrific catch and finish by Singler.
It was pretty. He rammed it.
Of course, Paul is very highly recruited as a football player. Was the National High School Football Player of the Year in 2004. Got elected to play basketball at Duke. His brother Mike was playing football at North Carolina, and they get to spend a lot of time together with their campus just a few miles apart. That's quite an athletic family, as we mentioned earlier. All 7 of the Paulus children are athletes. And they've also married into an athletic family. One of Greg Paulus's brothers is married to Pat Hayden's daughter.
Oh. Rhodes Scholar as well.
When I first became a lawyer, I worked for a firm. I moved into Pat Hayden's office after he left the firm.
Did you really?
Yeah. Heck of a lot more productive in that office before I got there than after.
Little zone look now. Looking for a deep shot versus the penetration.
Smith in the lane. And a blocking foul called.
Wow. And you know, it's funny. One official was going to go the other way. This isn't supposed to happen against the zone. But these kids are so good, adept at finding holes. And see the turnaround. One official was going to go one way, and he backed off, which is good officiating, too.
3 fouls for Fitzgerald, so that's a big issue as we approach the half for Marquette. Foul difficulty. Smith made the first. Son of the late Derek Smith, starred in Louisville, had a 9-year career in the NBA, died in 1996 on a cruise, had a heart attack when his son was just 8 years old. Nolan considered Louisville, chose Duke in part because his dad played in the NBA with Johnny Dawkins of the Philadelphia 76ers, now an assistant coach, of course, at Duke, a long time alongside Mike Krzyzewski.
Got to help him out.
The shot clock is on, but it's almost identical to the game clock. And basket by James and a little pump in the lane.
Acrobatic.
Nelson trying to go all the way to the basket. Goes to the ground. And out of bounds goes the ball with 9/10 of a second left, and there is a foul call.
Yeah, Barrow. I think he stuck the leg out. How about this maneuver in traffic? Kicks at the end. He is difficult to contain.
2 fouls now on Barrow, so Fitzgerald with 3. Hayward, McNeil, Kubion, and Barrow all with 2 fouls for Tom Crean. And Nelson will shoot 2. 4 out of 6 from the line. And 4 out of 6 from the floor as well.
Duke is going to be ready to make sure nothing easy on the inbound pass, turn and shoot.
What a workmanlike half for DeMarcus Nelson.
He is tough, Jay. I mean, every day he comes with something new. Inside game, penetration, pull-up, medium range, deep.
He's a punishing guard, just a punishing player.
Free throw woes continue. It's knocked out of bounds by Thomas, and that ends the half. So Nelson, who had a fine half, missed a chance to add 2 more to Duke's total. But he and Singler combined for 26 points of the 43 put on the board by Duke. Perhaps on their way to their 4th title here at the EA Sports Maui Invitational. But a lot of basketball left, a 7-point game at the break. Now the halftime report. Here's Ryan Byrne. So tough. And Paulus was fouled after he passed off.
Got to be alert when you get in there. Both teams so well schooled at presenting themselves.
A good job by Dominique James to get in there and try to get that charge. It wasn't called his way, but Nice rotation to get there.
First foul on Dominique James. Paulus into Henderson. Sophomore from Marion, Pennsylvania. Had a shot blocked by Barrow, and here come the Golden Eagles. Hayward, a single just fell down, and then an offensive foul called on Lazar Hayward. That's his third.
Anytime you spin, you have to expect there's going to be someone there to take a charge. If you spin, you are in trouble.
Get in too deep with the spin, worse. Here it comes. Great reading. You got to know Duke is terrific at reading ahead, stepping in, anticipating.
It's what they do. Now, he could have gotten away with that spin if he would have jumped up and shot the ball.
The clock's been running.
And it's still running. Now the timer has a flight to catch.
Maybe he's on board with us.
It won't stop. Well, now it has stopped.
You don't have to go to the play-by-play notes.
Of course, they can go to the monitor as well to see what the clock should say. 17:37 or 36.
Did you ever play with the little red clock when you were a kid? You know, that's how they started the timer. They didn't have the regulation. Of course, you played in all those modern gymnasiums out there.
What do you call modern?
Well, you probably had electronic scoreboard,
running water, and plumbing.
In Biddy League, they had his picture and run out.
17:36.
As a matter of fact, we did have to shower at home after the game.
And they have reset the game clock now to 17:36. And Duke will play it in. John Shire's come in off the bench. Here's Paulus. He played a solid first half, over 14 minutes, without a turnover against this tight defense by Marquette. DeMarcus Nelson very short with it.
Should have slipped on the palm of his hand.
Just a little snapback post by DeMarcus Nelson. Had a size advantage there, but wasn't able to execute when he got the bump.
James to Barrow and off to McNeil for 2.
Nice extra pass. Terrific execution and good body control on the bounce.
It's amazing how high McNeil can get for such a little guy. He's a great finisher.
Marquette fans back into it. Their team has quickly come from 9 down to within 4. It looked like they had a chance for a break there, but Matthews could not fully execute the steal. You wonder if fatigue is starting to set in. Both of these teams are much more deliberate in their half-court offense than what we saw in the first half.
You know, they're post up, and look at the help. Good call as well. Well, that bails your post defender out. Down, dig, scratch, claw, and try and help him.
He just didn't go in, did Wesley Matthews, in reach. He went in for the ball. It wasn't a slap. He just went after that leather and got it.
And on the arrow, it goes to Marquette. They've scored 5 straight points, trying to extend the run and get back closer, down by 4, under 16.5 to go in this championship game of the EA Sports Maui Invitational.
Great help.
Barrow off the fade from Matthews.
They doubled, and nobody came down from the top to get in front of Barrow.
Just curling off that screen, Wesley Matthews cleared everybody out. And what a terrific pass, and the finish by Barrow.
And a timeout, Duke. Those yellow hash marks above the team names represent the number of timeouts remaining. We have a 2-point game with 16:12 to go. Seventh meeting all time between Marquette and Duke. Duke has won 4 of the previous 6. Marquette won the most recent meeting 1 year ago tonight in the championship game of the CBE Classic in Kansas City. This one's for the title of the EA Sports Maui Invitational. Duke with a 2-point lead, but they led by 9 a moment ago. It's a 7-0 run for Marquette.
Now Dominic James guarding DeMarcus Nelson. Doesn't have the size of the bulk, but the quickness perhaps to stay in front of him.
Automatic switch.
John Shire, the sophomore. How smooth was that?
Oh, what a pull-up, huh? And it's not the quickest of releases, but he's capable of getting it off.
He got it off against a great defender in McNeil.
First bucket for Shire. Singler's rebound brings Duke the other way. And Paulus was fouled. And that takes us right back to immediate timeout. Wesley Matthews called for his first foul. All right, Ryan, thank you. It's Duke basketball. It's more than 15.5 minutes remaining in the title game here at the EA Sports Maui Invitational. Duke the ball in the 4-point lead. Paulus makes it 7.
How about that little dribble slap back? Not prepared.
Six points for Greg Paulus.
Pretty good call out of the timeout, wasn't it? They got to run that.
James the miss. Ball slapped around. It came to James again, and he'll go to the line. I believe he was fouled by Lance Thomas, who hit the deck.
And he's a tough little guy. Look at this little play, Jay. Right out.
A little
dribble
weave, dribble handoff, but Krzyzewski has always made good use of the inbounds man in his plays. You remember that when Duke beat Connecticut in 1990 in the regionals, it was Christian Laettner who was the inbounder, got the ball back.
Up at the Meadowlands.
Yeah, up at the Meadowlands.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's right sideline out of bounds, too.
Exactly. He's always tried to use the inbounder as an option.
James made the first free throw. He's the leading rebounder in the game with 5. Barrow got that rebound and was tied up by Nelson, and the ball goes to Duke.
Boy, the strength. Now Barrow went after that ball. And yet the swiftness of Nelson and the aggressive nature of his play.
Duke played tremendous defense in the second half last night in their win over Illinois. They held Illinois without a made field goal for more than 11.5 minutes during one stretch of the second half.
Yeah, from 15 some odd to 3 some odd, I think.
Shire trying to get away from McNeil. Inside, strong move by Thomas, and he scores with Barrow defending.
He was available. You know, he had his man held on. He had sealed him. It's the solid preparation.
And he's really improved his footwork from last season to this season.
Shooting 64% for the year coming in is Lance Thomas. Fitzgerald confidently makes his second 3 of the game.
Nice little fade, huh?
If he makes shots like he has in the last couple of games, boy, Marquette's going to be really good. I think Dan Fitzgerald, a big key to the success of this Marquette team.
Playing relaxed, that's all. Don't be thinking.
Traveling violation. And Duke turns it over with a 5-point lead. 14-14 to go. David Kubian is on the floor for Marquette. All 5 starters, 10 letter winners back for Marquette, and a couple of freshmen not playing due to injury. Trevor Mbakwe out for the year. He would have given them help inside. And Scott Christopherson, who was the Mr. Basketball Award winner in Wisconsin last year in high school, out with a knee injury. Tom Crean thinks he will be a big help at some point this season with his ability to shoot, particularly when the opponents go zone.
And Sean, the ability to drive, they're going to find them too.
Burke was fouled. Count the basket.
Wow. Everybody in the 3-second lane.
Close quarters. Those are tough passes, tough catches, and a tough finish by Dwight Burke.
And just pounded that ball into the lane consistently. Look at all the people in the 3-second lane.
Got to avoid guys falling into you, complete plays, but that was a terrific job of completing a tough play by Burke.
Foul on Singler, his first. And Burke could not finish the 3-point play. It's the 3rd team foul on Duke. The Blue Devils the ball, the 3-point lead. Nelson bumped all the way by McNeil. They're going to call McNeil for the foul, and that's his third.
Boy, how hard it is to contain Nelson. And it's not as much speed, although he has that. It's the shoulder strength.
Well, he absorbs a bump and keeps turning into the defender. Sooner or later, he's going to draw that contact, and the referee's going to blow that whistle. I mean, he's drawing those fouls. Push off by Single.
That's his second foul. And Mike Krzyzewski wants an explanation from Ed Hightower.
You know, the ball should be in play right now.
Yeah.
You know,
yep.
This is how there's a problem. Well, if he doesn't talk to Mike, there's nothing Mike can do, right?
So here comes James with Fitzgerald, Matthews, Burke, and Kubian for Marquette. A 3-ball would get them back even, and that's what Kubian is trying to do.
What is that routine? Did you ever do that?
It's like Chichi Rodriguez.
First time we've been tied since it was 18-all with 10:50 left in the first half, and a backcourt violation against Nolan Smith.
What pressure on the ball? And you mentioned, Sean, Tom Crean felt Kubian was going to play well. Those two terrific. The sequences were gorgeous for Marquette.
Well, Kubian was a big difference maker against Oklahoma State with his pressure on the ball. And a big difference maker on that possession with his pressure on Nolan Smith.
Again,
James the miss, and it's last touch by Singler.
He's double clutching. He's waiting till he gets to the apex of his jump and double clutching and trying to finish that play. Just go up and finish it.
Yeah, he's had a number of opportunities and failed to ring the bell.
James into Fitzgerald. Full shot clock for Marquette. 7th time this game has been tied. Marquette trying to take the lead for the first time since 8.5 minutes remained in the first half. Duke's turned it over 5 times here in the second half after having only 4 all of the first. Matthews puts Marquette ahead.
Boy, the perimeter play on both teams is extraordinary.
10 straight for Marquette. 9 points in the game for Wesley Matthews.
Marcus Nelson not the only powerful punishing driver in this game.
Well, last year it was Duke that had a hard time keeping the Marquette guards in front of them when Duke was on defense. That's been a problem for both sides defensively tonight. Second foul on Wesley Matthews. And it's probably going to be a free throw contest again, as Marquette has been called for 5 team fouls already in this half, and Duke for 4, and a long way to go. 12:22 remaining.
Mike is terrific at taking the opportunity to have a chat. And good utilization when you think of it.
Plant the question, why are the officials stopping the game to talk to him? Singler follows up the miss by Smith. 16 for the outstanding freshman. Duke's had at least one 20-point score in every game this year. As a matter of fact, they've had a different 20-point score in each of the first 4 games of the season. Only the second time in the history of the school that it's happened. The other time was back in 1964. Burke got his own miss and missed again, and it's ripped down by Singler, his 5th.
But Burke with some power just didn't finish.
Singler is wide open for the lead and missed it. And Nelson went over the back of Dwight Burke. Second foul on Nelson. 5th on Duke in the half. Each team of 5 and a timeout.
Wesley Matthews, the strong drive and finish, and Marquette tying it up.
Airtime.
Championship game tied at 54 here at the EA Sports Maui Invitational. All 8 teams competed in the annual EA Sports NCAA March Madness video game tournament. The contest played in a simulated Lahaina Civic Center featured the game's Maui Invitational mode, and in the final it was these 2 teams, Duke and Marquette. John Shire against Maurice Ackerd, and Shire, and the Blue Devils claim bragging rights as the EA Sports video game champions here in Maui. Players love that.
It is a great evening, great way to tip off the tournament.
It's a nice relationship builder. A lot of good social activity here, led by social chairman Bill Raftery.
From the Chamber of Commerce.
Lazar Hayward had it roll off to Gerald Henderson. His fourth rebound. Now Duke poised to reclaim the lead as we near 11 minutes remaining. Singler almost walked. Wow. The block foul bailed him out.
Nice little screen by Paulus. Just ran up and screened on Singler. And that opened up the middle of the lane. And it looked like Burke leaned into that a little bit. He was there. But he just kind of...
Yeah, he gets twisted around a little bit. He just held his ground.
Burke called for his first foul. The team's 6th, so the next one will put Marquette over the limit.
And Burke gives him a nice little balance with Barrow. You know, give him a blow. He's strong.
And they are over the limit now as Burke commits another.
Oh, my goodness. 11 minutes to go. That's consistently in Mike's career at Duke. Getting to the free throw line. Number was they make more than the opponent takes.
Well, that's a measure for a lot of good teams, is their ability to get to the free throw line. And a team that looks to drive it, which both Duke and Marquette do, they put themselves more often in a position to be fouled.
Paulus with his first free throw attempt of the game. He missed it. He was 4 for 4 last night in their win over Illinois, but it's out of bounds. Last touch by Marquette.
Now they've run these out of bounds. The special plays beautifully.
Is it harder defensively to prepare for those out-of-bounds plays because you're playing 3 games in 3 days?
I would think you walk through them more than, you know, talk your way through them.
Well, most of these actions you defend from game to game, so you have an idea of how you defend a certain thing.
Whoa. Singler was wide open. Hayward slipped down, tried to get up, and fell down again.
I think he felt the initial one. He got knocked down. There, that's the one, Sean. See it?
Then he got up and slipped again on a wet spot, and that's why they've stopped the play now to wipe that up. This is essentially a high school gym, 2,400 seats, and it really has a kind of big high school game atmosphere in the stands where you have so many, almost an even number of fans from both teams. They're right next to each other, and they're going back and forth with their respective chants for their schools.
It's such a pleasant way to watch a game. I agree with you.
This building is a big part of the charm of this event. Teams love coming here. When you talk to the coaches, the players, they talk about what a great experience it is, how well they're treated.
There's Wayne Duke and Dave Gavitt put together great fields, you know.
Oh, rearrange! Lazar Hayward.
Knock me down, huh?
9 for Hayward. And it's a 1-point game for Duke.
Look how spread Duke is in the corners, using the last 6 to 8 feet of the baseline.
And eliminates all that help.
Nelson short with a jumper. A run out for Marquette. Kubion found an open Matthews for 3, and the lead for the Golden Eagles.
And Acker made that play by giving it up early. They weren't as organized as they could have been, but terrific look by both he and Kubion.
And he didn't take it too deep either. There was no over-penetration.
Shire almost walked. Shire strong to the bucket, well defended by Burt. Thomas the rebound. And the whistles continue to come at a regular rate.
And right here you can see just giving it up and then trying to make himself available.
Paulus needs to get out there and put a lot more pressure on that shot. But what a great offensive rebound tip dunk by Lazar Hayward.
Foul on Matthews, his 3rd.
Showing a lot of guys are tired going out of the game, I'll tell you. Breathing deeply.
3rd game in 3 days. Last year, every Duke starter in the loss to Marquette played at least 29 minutes. Indication of the lack of depth a year ago. They are much deeper this year.
That's what Kyle Singler is on the floor over in the corner. Looks like he's getting some attention to that right leg of his. I don't know whether he's cramping up or what. It looks like he's cramping up. So he's taking some tablets there, drinking some Gatorade.
Sean, your point on the depth with Duke, I mean, that's what's going to make them so tough this year. They're going to play less minutes. You're always going to be ready.
Sometimes the
nice
first
high
thing
low
to go when you're tired is the outside shooting, but Marquette is 4 for 4 from three-point range in this half. They went inside that time. They will have a chance to reclaim the lead at the free throw line. It's the third foul on DeMarcus Nelson.
Boy, when your center can make passes like this, we're going to see the step out here by the big fella, and then the seal, and then you throw it to the corner of the glass. That's just a heck of a look, and using that derriere with great impact.
One of the ways that Duke looks to guard that is to get your hands high and put a lot of pressure on the ball, make a big guy put the ball on the floor. But Lance Thomas a little bit late in reacting there.
Yeah, backed off a little bit.
Yeah, just played too far off and wasn't there to pressure that ball.
Singler appeared to be cramping a moment ago, is in for Shire. Hayward made his first free throw of the game to put Marquette back on top. The Golden Eagles out of the Big East picked to finish third behind Georgetown and Louisville, who tied for the top spot in the Big East preseason coaches poll.
Now, we've got Bubble Boy here, and it's too early to start talking tournament, but what this means on a resume come the end of the year.
Oh, a neutral court win against a top quality opponent is huge.
And they got the little nickel dimer by Hayward. Boy,
there have been so many whistles. You know, it would be wonderful if there could be a little more flow in this game, because it's a terrific game, but really without almost any flow. 4 fouls now on Lazar Hayward, the first player in the game for either team to pick up 4. He won't be the last.
Well, he was such an energy lift for this team. That's where Dan Fitzgerald's got to come in and provide that same kind of energy. He's a different kind of player that can really shoot the ball from deep, space the floor.
Singler 2 out of 2, now 3 out of 3 from the line. That's his 20th point. So again, in every game, all 5 now this season, Duke has had at least one player score 20.
And Singler keeps moving those legs. And he gets a moment, get the circulation flowing. I can relate.
He's got the same tan you do.
Hey, I've got my record intact. I haven't been to the beach in 21 years.
And Maui thanks you, the Chamber of Commerce. Very, very pleased that that's the case.
A little deep sea diving wouldn't hurt. Oh, nice hands. Nelson right on him.
You dove into some liquids, but it wasn't the Pacific Ocean. A turnover now by Marquette.
It's the only way I get my fruit at the bottom of the glass.
I love the hat on that guy behind the Marquette bench. That fan perhaps out here from Wisconsin in a Marquette ski hat. 87 degrees outside. There he is behind Coach Seltzer.
Kubion gets great pressure on the ball.
Tough shot. Reached in.
Well, McNeil called for a foul on the arm, and that's his 4th. Major problem for Marquette.
He doesn't think he did, but I thought the hand did come down.
That is the 10th team foul, so Duke will shoot 2 the rest of the way. 8:41 to go.
Pretty good position, and this is just great athleticism to get up. And I think he did get it, huh?
Yeah. Well, the shot was way short, so
quail, yeah.
Pretty good indication.
Anderson off the career-high 23 last night with just 3 points tonight. That's his first free throw of the game, and Tom Crean will take Jarrell McNeil out of the ball game, replaced by Wesley Matthews.
Well, he's got great rotation now in the backcourt. You know, with Acker as well as Kubion. Load him up out there.
Just an issue where you don't want to have to go too small too early.
1 out of 2. Thomas snuck in. Fitzgerald, he was the last to touch it. He was so occupied trying to hold off Nelson that he didn't go get the ball.
He did knock it out, though. You're right.
He did.
Boy, Duke did a really good job of working that second slot. on the free throw rebound.
That's interesting. It's a new rule this year. The first block closest to the basket not occupied now on free throws. And Mike Krzyzewski says he thinks coaches are going to take a few games to decide what kind of impact that has and decide how best to deal with it. Kubion for three. Barrow kept it alive. Fitzgerald fell down. Nelson traveled and got away with it.
He did.
Paulus traveled and did not get away with it. College basketball on ESPN2 continues tomorrow night. Thanksgiving feast with outstanding freshman Michael Beasley at Kansas State against George Mason at 9 Eastern time. At midnight, San Diego and USA led by freshman O.J. Mayo in the Anaheim Classic Feast Week presented by Lowe's.
Well, George Mason's going to be a tough out in that game. I mean, the Kansas State is really athletic, but Mason's still got Will Thomas, the lefty, and Fowler and Campbell. That's a terrific team.
Marquette down by a point and a travel as Matthews bounced to the bucket. Tom Crean thought he got bumped.
I thought that was a clean move.
Tom Crean way out onto the court to talk to Ed Hightower, apparently satisfied with the explanation.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the Maui Visitors Bureau and the magic of the Isles of Maui, Molokai, and Lanai. Volvo, who believes that life is better lived together. Volvo for life. And Nike. Do you love basketball or do you love famous?
Downtown Lahaina, lots of charming restaurants and shops right on the Pacific Ocean. We'll be busy tonight. We're getting a little early Thanksgiving meal. You know that trip?
Well, I was thinking one of the other restaurants.
So we hear.
Duke by 1 in the EA Sports Maui Invitational Championship game. It's the 4th trip to Maui for this tournament for Duke. They've won it all 3 times. In 1992, 97, and 2001. Marquette has shot 60% from beyond the arc. Both teams have done very well. The free throw shooting has hurt Duke. Considering the great disparity in the fouls called, there isn't that much of a disparity in the free throw attempts. Marquette's been whistled for 22 fouls, Duke for only 12. That's 34 fouls already with 7.5 minutes to go.
James did a great job. Nelson is so good at turning the corner.
Paulus open for a deep 3.
Nice little screen, and again, Payne going under.
Well, Krzyzewski was getting on Paulus on a previous possession about not pulling the trigger. That time he walked, he told him just shoot it. And he was aggressive on that play.
Yeah, this is a settle.
By Dominique James. 7 minutes to go. Duke by 4. And a 3 in the air wouldn't go for Nolan Smith. Run down by Lance Thomas. You can see the fatigue on both sides now.
Well, Kubion trying to box him out, but just couldn't hold off the bigger Thomas.
Paulus used the screen from Thomas. Paulus now 3 out of 5 from three-point land with that miss. And James takes a moment to catch his breath as he starts up the floor. James Matthews, Fitzgerald, Kubion, and Barrow. For Tom Crean, Jarrell McNeil still on the bench with 4 fouls. James, tough shot, and it popped out.
Wow.
Pretty good effort.
And a good challenge by Singlet.
Well, from the very beginning of the game, James has been unlucky with several rim outs. Timeout Duke. 2 left for the Blue Devils. 6:12 remaining. Duke by 4. They tend to dominate when they play in these major regular season tournaments. All time, their record is 46-9 in the CBA Classic, Maui, the preseason at IT, Alaska Shootout, Coaches versus Cancer, and Rainbow Classics. If you invite them,
they
you
win.
Expect them to win. Assistant coach Steve Wojciechowski was the MVP when they beat Arizona here in '97. And the last time they were here, they beat a Ball State team coached by Tim Buckley, who's now an assistant on Tom Crean's staff at Marquette.
Just going back, I remember Bobby Hurley. There's Wojo there. Bobby Hurley went in it. There's Wojo. I mentioned to him before the game, he really runs slow in those. He said, I'm afraid of tearing something or breaking something.
I don't want to get hurt. He's a new father.
Yeah.
Young son Jack at home.
Just a couple of weeks old. His wife Lindsay and son Jack did make the trip. Wojo averaged 11 points, 7 assists, and 2 steals in the Maui Invitational in '97 as Duke defeated Chaminade, Missouri, and Arizona.
And you don't want to play that staff, by the way. Everybody's a pretty good shooter and handler.
Singler, nice look inside. Thomas is fouled by Barrow. He'll go to the line with a chance for a three-point play.
And that was just a terrific cut to set his man up, and he held Barrow baseline, throw to the correct hand, and a little hang time at the end. Nice look inside, huh?
Lance Thomas doesn't get a ton of opportunities in this offense, but when he does, he has done a superior job of finishing. Footwork much improved.
There's that little spread now that Duke seems to pop on you.
Not a big Duke team. He's their biggest starter, Thomas, at 6'8", 220. Of course, they can bring the 7-footer Zubek off the bench.
That's really the one area where a lot of teams are going to try to attack Duke, and that's inside.
Tom Wise. I'm sorry, Phil. Nice pass by Actor. James out resting. The little guy comes in. Drive through. Deliver.
That was a great answer by Marquette to get this back to 4.
A good move by Tom Crean. The game's starting to slip away a little bit. He got his best player, McNeil, back on the court. He's been his best player so far this year. Nelson strong to the basket.
Oh, is he tough. Tough with the smooch and the power to get by.
Second straight game of 16 points for Nelson. He had 16 against the Illini last night, and the response by Maurice Acker.
How about him? 2 big-time plays. One on the bounce, and that time with the delivery.
How about the screen by Barrow, making himself big and headhunting?
Dyer couldn't shed McNeil, playing aggressively even with the 4 fouls. He ran out to defend Nelson. Rebound Barrow. A 3-ball could tie it again for Marquette. Under 5 minutes to go. McNeil for the tie. The step back 3. Fitzgerald tipped it out. Barrow right in front of the bench. A collision and a foul on Nelson.
Tough shot. Fortunate to get it back. Barrow. Good reaction.
And Nelson now with 4. He is the first Blue Devil to collect 4 fouls, and that puts Duke over the limit with 4:42 to go.
Now, this is a game where your assistants really have to be alert for you, that who's tired, who needs a blow. And Mike's rotating guys in, Tom doing the same thing.
Outstanding coaching staff, all of the assistants, former Duke players. Wojo with Johnny Dawkins and Chris Collins. And here's Barrow. Who makes the first to make it a 2-point game.
I think Tom's going to try and get to that next time out, leaving this guy on the pines just to inhale a little bit.
And the immediate timeout on the first whistle under 4 minutes. Ousmane Barrow with 5 points. From Senegal, came to this country to Chicago as a high school exchange student. Second one rolled off, and Fitzgerald called for a foul as he knocked Singler to the deck, and that's 4 on Dan Fitzgerald.
Boy, Wesley Matthews did a great job of getting inside position, working that second slot, and he just about had that ball. Certainly kept it alive, and that keeping it alive is what got Fitzgerald the foul. You can see, watch him on the second slot. He spins and gets right around Singler. I mean, that was almost a tip-in, and kept that ball alive, and that's where Fitzgerald picked up the foul. Now they walk to the other end.
And Singler hobbling to the other end.
That's working that second slot. You're going to see a lot more of that, I think. I mean, we had talked about some of the stunts you can run and things you can do with that extra space now with the new rule that moves you up 1 slot. It takes additional offensive rebounders off the lane. But the two guys in the second slot, they can work together and get some openings.
You ought to do that in the studio.
That'd be interesting. Be fun.
Singler 5 out of 5 from the line, 17 out of 19 for his freshman season. Now 18 out of 20. And a 4-point lead for Duke. Certainly Singler a leading candidate to be the MVP. He had 21 in the opener against Princeton.
2-3 zone for Duke.
And a deep three that would not drop for McNeil.
I think the 2-3 more for getting people arrested.
Acker all over Paulus, pestering him all the way up the court.
Got to be aggressive. They got to be careful not to pick up a cheap one.
And McNeil saw that pass coming from Paulus. McNeil fouled. Paulus whistled for the personal. His second. Well, it's midnight in the eastern United States. Let us be the first to wish everybody back east a happy Thanksgiving. Sean McDonough with Bill Raftery and Jay Billis. Feast Week presented by Lowe's, bringing you the EA Sports Maui Invitational Championship game. Most anticipated it would be this matchup. And most anticipated would be the kind of game we have seen. Very competitive, two evenly matched teams. And the 9th point of the ball game for Jarrell McNeil. Hayward back in for Fitzgerald for Marquette.
Great test for both teams as well as you prepare for the season. Good barometer of how good you are or what you have to work on.
Hayward with those 4 fouls, but now fresh with some time on the bench.
1 out of 2 at the line for McNeil. 3-point lead for Duke. We're in that media timeout zone now under 4 minutes. I think all the players would appreciate every opportunity to catch their breath. 3rd game in 3 days. Henderson an air ball. And then Singler's pass intended for Shire, knocked out of bounds by Jarrell McNeil. 3:42 remaining. Duke 71, Marquette 68. EA Sports Maui Invitational Championship game, part of Feast Week presented by Lowe's. Duke trying to win its 4th title here in Maui. Leading the ball game here with 3:42 to go. Earlier today, the first game of the day went to overtime. LSU with a late 3 to force overtime, but then Arizona State won the 5th place game. Illinois easily over Oklahoma State in the 3rd place game, and Chaminade won for the first time here since 2003, ending a 13-game losing streak in this event for the host school. They'll be back, of course, next year. And the lucky sevensome: Alabama, Indiana, North Carolina, Notre Dame, Oregon, St. Joe's, and Texas.
God willing, if I'm back next year, I'm going to bring some sunblock.
They have a sun lamp and longies. Paulus missed a long 3. Here comes Marquette down by 3. Hayward strong to the goal.
And he avoided that contact as well. Nice little catchable pass.
13 for Lazar Hayward. He is obviously going to be much more of a factor this season for Marquette than he was last year, when he was a nice role player who averaged about 6.5 points per game.
Hayward has to watch the weak side duck in by Kyle Singler. Very good at snapping into the post. A 1-4 low.
Henderson seems a little tired here tonight in the championship game. Banks that one in. Only 5 points for Henderson. Now Acker, he is fresh. He hasn't played many minutes in their first 2 games, so he'd be fresher than some of the others who are on the court right now on both sides.
A pretty good rebound by John Shire.
Ooh, he slipped on that logo at center court, guarded by McNeil, who has 4 fouls. Mike Krzyzewski didn't like the way that was going, nor did Greg Paulus, who called for the timeout.
Gives James a chance to get back in the game, too. They just inserted him.
Usually when you say slip, you mean something else.
Ooh, he only could have turned the ankle there as well.
Right out from under him on that sticker.
Acker going amongst the bigs. Not a good play the last trip, too. You know, he's played very well.
Apparently it was Paulus who wanted a timeout, because it didn't look like any of the coaches were asking for the timeout. Feast Week continues on ESPN Sunday night. The Big 12 Pac-10 Hardwood Series, as Arizona heads to Lawrence to take on Brandon Rush and the Kansas Jayhawks. That is also a part of Feast Week presented by Lowe's. That's on ESPN Sunday night at 8 Eastern Time. More information, log on to ESPN.com. Chance for a huge weekend on that Kansas campus. They'll play in Arrowhead Stadium against Missouri in one of the biggest football games of the year Saturday night. And they'll host Arizona on the hardwood Sunday.
One of the
2:34 from determining the champion here, Jay.
One of the things that's very important for both teams right now is, even when you're tired, being strong with the ball. The opponent may slap at it. You got to be strong with it, step to the line, and hit free throws if you get fouled.
Nice look, but unfortunately, Thomas setting up for the rebound.
I thought Shire was going to shoot it. The pass hit Thomas in the back. Hayward. Barrow got inside, got a hand on it, out of bounds to Duke.
Boy, some tantalizing misses around the rim.
They've had so many opportunities. They're challenged opportunities, but they just haven't been able to get as many to go down as you might expect. Still a one-possession game and a lot of ticks left on that clock.
Paulus with Singler, Nelson, Henderson, and Thomas for Duke.
Nice help.
Oh. Yep. Thomas rolled to the basket, but again couldn't get the pass. He looks very tired as he runs back on defense.
And James Fresh. Oh, thought he should have shot it. But that was a little deep.
Charge. Yep. Second foul on James.
Once you leave your feet, you're at the rim. Well, he may have slid a little bit.
Slid and went down a little easy.
Yeah, under that tin too. I love when they just estimate anything under, don't call it.
I think that would have been a good play on there. But there haven't been many play-ons in this game. Under 2 minutes to go. Duke by 3. Henderson.
The other way, Sean.
Wow. I don't think the Dukies realized that that was an offensive foul called, and it's the 4th on Henderson.
When they're watching Shire, he does a nice job handling the ball, takes the pressure off the guards.
A good drive by Henderson. Just took it too far. You know, there are times when you can take it in there and pull up, or take it in there and make a jump stop and kick it back out to someone else who has a drive. You know, there hasn't been as much ball reversal, and when you've got a team that's tired, and both these teams are, you move them around a little bit, you're more likely to get a breakdown.
That was the 40th foul of the game. A minute and a half to go. Both teams will be in the double bonus the rest of the way now if it becomes a free throw shooting contest. Shot clock at 13. Kubian nearly lost the dribble. He did, but they got it back. Matthews with 9 to shoot. And a foul.
Oh, that again, not able to convert. What a great look by Matthews. The square up, maybe the tough angle to use the glass.
But how about the trust on the part of Tom Crean when they had that broken play? Instead of calling the timeout to try to get him organized, he knew that they could execute off a broken play. And Wesley Matthews with the terrific pass, really wanting that to go down for his teammate Lazar Hayward.
Just a pretty play.
Hayward, a good free throw shooter, 83% for the year coming into tonight, and 2 for 2 from the line. 67% from the line last year for the sophomore from Buffalo. Into Notre Dame Prep in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, playing a terrific high school team. Derek Character and Paul Harris.
Paul Harris has really been freed up for Syracuse. With Johnny Flynn, now he moves back to almost a power forward slot, and he has been rebounding like crazy.
Yeah, Jimmy thought that was a big change in their game, that point guard. Hits people in the right spot. Evendorf ends up the shooting guard, kind of didn't have to handle as much.
Andy Routen's, of course, a big loss for Syracuse, out for the year with a knee injury, suffered in international play over the summer, playing for Canada. 1 out of 2 for Hayward. And Tom Crean uses a timeout. He still has 3 left. Duke's down to 1. 1:13 to go. Coming up right after the ball game, Sports Center with Stan Barrett and Scott Van Pelt. Some big NBA showdowns in Texas. Is this weekend's game a trap game for the Cowboys with the Packers on the upcoming schedule? And I have no idea what Romo like Snoop Dogg means, so we'll find out. A reason to watch Sports Center. Always reasons to watch right after the game, and plenty of reasons to stick with us for the last minute and 13. What do you think is important as this plays out?
Yeah, the ability to drive has set everything up. I just think fatigue, whoever can stay in position longer or finish a trip, and that's it's difficult expending so much energy for 3 straight days. So technique becomes important.
We've talked about being strong with the ball, stepping the line, hitting big free throws, but also rebounding. You know, there are going to be offensive rebound opportunities. The team that boxes out and grabs a big defensive rebound could be the play that wins the game.
Shire will inbound for Duke with Singler, Paulus, Henderson, and Nelson. Matthews will defend the inbounder. Out there with Kubion, Hayward, McNeil, and James from Marquette. 10 ties in this game, 9 lead changes.
I look for Nelson to try and take his guy James. A little bigger, stronger.
Kubion defending Paulus. 23 to shoot. 1 minute left in the championship game of the EA Sports Maui Invitational. Nelson can't get by James. McNeil got a hand on the pass, but it wound up with Henderson, and he's fouled.
They bumped him down low.
James Nelson, very fortunate. Not much room. Should have back dribbled, had time.
Boy, McNeil had that steal, just couldn't corral it.
You guys have talked about it a couple of times. Some shots that wouldn't quite fall for Marquette. That steal that they couldn't quite execute. And if they do not win this game, it'll be even more frustrating than usual because of some of the near misses. 1 out of 2 from the line tonight. Henderson.
2 tough-minded teams, though. I mean, they are hardened.
Not a very good free throw shooter. Calmly makes the first. Came in 60% this year, and you saw the number just 63% last year.
Even if this shot goes in, still plenty of time for Marquette. You want to come down, get a quick score. You can extend this game.
Go for the 2 with their dribble drive. Unless, of course, everybody collapses.
And then, exactly. Then you kick it out to a shooter that's stepping into a shot.
Right.
Well, Duke, particularly early on in the first half, led by the tandem of Nelson and Singler.
Singler so efficient. Rebounds, runs. He can space the floor and knock shots down. He can use fakes, ball fakes, head fakes, and put the ball on the deck. And DeMarcus Nelson, has anybody been stronger or more punishing?
And you know what? He's so intelligent about the game, too. He understands the gate that he has to go, the angles. Look at this. Baby kiss by a stud. Did you ever have a body like that?
No. I know you didn't.
No. I've got a lot of sand in my jackets over the years on the beach.
Double bonus each way. The possession arrow points in favor of Marquette. 1 timeout left for Duke and 2 for Marquette. 44.5 seconds to go. Tom Crean through the end of the timeout. You've seen him many times standing at that end of the bench and looking down at the press table. He has a play sheet, much like football coaches. He has plays and sets that he wants to run. From time to time, he'll consult that laminated document just off to his left. He was working on it while sitting at the pool at their team hotel this morning.
With that jacket on.
He didn't have that on at the pool.
Oh, I feel better. All right. That's what it's all about, right? Coming down the stretch.
And a big free throw here. Chance to make it a 2-possession game. Gerald Henderson calmly makes a pair. Duke by 4.
You want to pull the throttle down.
McNeil trying to go quickly. He did. Nicely done. They'll come with pressure. Down by 2, Marquette.
A little fade screen. Got him isolated on the right side. What a great drive by McNeil.
He was going to get called for a foul, but instead, Paulus and Duke called timeout. So that's the last for the Blue Devils. And they'll need to make sure they get this ball in bounds out of the timeout.
Boy, that was almost the old run and jump Carolina, but right here, the ability to turn, get the shoulder between defenders, and here, Singler looks to search. Maybe should have gone, and help challenge, but McNeil amongst the many that can put it on the deck.
Well, the all-tournament team has been selected. Kyle Singler and DeMarcus Nelson of Duke, Dominique James, Jarrell McNeil of Marquette, and Calvin Brock for Illinois, which won the 3rd place game today. Brock was solid in all 3. He had 12 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals for Coach Weber today. The MVP will not be decided until this game is over. I mean, they're all good selections.
No question. And there were more that could have been put on it, but you can't argue with those 5.
The free throw shooting it becomes essential now. You mentioned Henderson, 60% thus far this year. There's Paulus, 75. Shire probably be in the game. Yep, he's in there. 81. Those are the guys you want to catch it. And if you're Marquette, they're aware they'll try and prevent the catch.
Court center next.
Sorry, Sean. One quick trap maybe, and then give it.
I want to try to get the steal if possible without gambling and taking yourself out of the play, but then you got to pull the trigger on a foul.
This could be a step and go too. Look at this setup. Paulus might be able to get. They're finally could be on back a little bit.
They'll set up in a line. Again, they have to get the ball in without a timeout at their disposal. Nelson will play it in and gets it into Paulus. Shot clock is off. McNeil has 4 fouls.
Here comes the double.
McNeil doesn't want a foul. Paulus lost it, but it slipped out of his hand right to Singler. Oh my goodness, bodies flying well after the whistle. Just inadvertent tangling there. And another one of those frustrating plays for Marquette. The ball popped out of the hands of Paulus. It was there for anyone to grab, and it eluded the grasp of the Golden Eagles. And it's the 4th foul now on James.
86%. This is what they tried to do. Give one trap, double up, and that's what. You can't leave the floor.
Boy, a lot of confidence by Tom Crean and his defense that they could force a turnover, get a steal with the trap, the double team. And still with 13 seconds, there's time. You can still extend it.
2 shots for Singler, their best free throw shooter. And perhaps cementing MVP status.
Boy, a lot of poise by a freshman. Step up there, nothing but net.
Reaching back, huh? And he is hurting too. He's been on the deck, pounded, dehydration.
Well,
you name
Duke
it.
doing it down the stretch. They've made 10 of their last 12 free throws with that make by the freshman Kyle Singler. It's a Marquette timeout. Only one left for either team, and it belongs to the Golden Eagles. Duke trying to remain perfect here in Maui. 11-0 all-time in this event. 3 titles, and on the verge of a 4th if they can protect this lead with 13 seconds to go.
Tough-minded teams, though. You talk about hardened and competitive. I think Marquette's better than I thought coming here.
Yeah, both teams are really, really good and really together. You're talking about 2 outstanding defensive teams that can really put a lot of pressure on you on the defensive end. And I'll tell you, they can really put it on the floor and test you with matchups on the other end.
Both guys sort of pretty talented themselves, getting these guys organized, getting to compete and play hard.
Well, it's rare in this day and age of college basketball you see experienced and talented teams, because a lot of times the talent doesn't stick around at the college level long enough to gain collegiate experience. But Marquette is a veteran team with significant talent.
And Duke is still a young team.
Yes, only one senior, the captain Nelson.
And who knows, guys leaving early better than Mike when you think of it, right? Of late.
Yeah, there have been a lot of programs that have lost a lot of kids.
Well, this is a huge free throw now for Singler. Trying to make it a 4-point game, a 2-possession game, unless Duke was silly enough to foul a 3-point shooter. And it rolls in. He's 8 out of 8 from the line. And Singler will come out. Nolan Smith replaces him to play a little defense. Marquette needs to move very quickly. Down by 4, under 10 seconds to go. McNeil. They're taking a long time. James for 3. It won't go. And Duke is going to remain perfect all time in Maui. They have the rebound. And with 4/10 of a second, the celebration has begun. And the winningest team occasionally zone defense. They're looking at the clock.
Well, I think that's it, though. They got it right.